Okay, so we're going to try to sit outside for this chat. Just ignore the chickens milling about, giving their 2 cents. If you're new here, I am pregnant with my 11th baby, and after 10 pregnancies without anything unusual, this time around I had a subchorionic hemorrhage. So I didn't even realize I was pregnant because I was bleeding and it was back and forth. I kind of wondered if I was going into menopause. I'm 42. And all of these questions were swirling around in my mind. So I finally went in and had an ultrasound just so that they could see what was going on. And lo and behold, I was pregnant. I was pregnant with this hemorrhage, which I had never even heard of. I had to look it up. Once I talked about it here, dozens and dozens of you have messaged me telling me that you had the same thing. It is not clear what causes it. For some of you, it was your first pregnancy. Some, it was, you know, one of your pregnancies later on. A couple of you have had it every single pregnancy. I talked to one woman who had 8 pregnancies, and every time she was put on bed rest for her first trimester. Some of you had it and it was small and it didn't really impact things a lot, and others of you had a large one like I did where there was a cause for concern. So here I am 12 weeks away from my due date, and after I guess it was the end of my first trimester heading into my second that is when they discovered that the area had grown to 8 centimeters, which is, I suppose, rather large for something of this sort. And so at that point, my midwife advised that I would go on bed rest. That's tricky when you have a lot going on like we do here at our house, but we made it happen. And so it was right after Christmas, January through February, that I just rested and other people stepped up and took care of things. It was, you know, we have good teamwork here and it all went fine. I didn't love it, to be honest with you. I am a doer. I like to be active. I like to be working on projects, working around my house. That's just how I am. I just wake up ready to go, just straight out of bed. So it was a very, very refining time for me. I started crocheting again. I actually crocheted several things, but one of the things that I crocheted was a blanket for the new baby that's on the way, and so that I would have just a special kind of remembrance of this time that I had of just laying and resting and healing. And so I have that memento. So time went by about, trying to remember, I guess it was about 7 weeks maybe, and I had another ultrasound, and at that point they said that although the size had not lessened any, that it looked like the area was clotting, which was a good sign toward healing. So around this time, my midwife and I were just kind of looking up ideas and trying to figure out, you know, different things for me to try. I kept up with my regular supplement routine, which I've talked about on other videos. I can share that with you. I also increased my vitamin D. I used just a spray that was, it's different herbs that are naturally high in vitamin D. So I was doing that like 3 times a day. And I started doing arnica tablets because they are for healing of areas, and so I started taking little arnica tablets under my tongue 3 times a day, and just, you know, continue the resting. At this point, once they told me that it is going in the right direction, it has clotted, I went to a modified bed rest where I was going back and forth during the day of doing some light activity and then resting, and I couldn't believe how much muscle loss I'd had just from that month and a half of mostly laying. You know, I still avoided lifting because that was a big thing that triggered problems. And also, ironically, it was the walking on hard floors that was an issue for me. So I tried going along with Jason to Walmart one day just because I was getting cabin fever. And I just walked, I didn't even like spend a lot of time in there, but just kind of going from the back of the store to the front was enough that by the next day I was spotting again. So it was the issue, the issue was still there of the spotting, and it was directly related to the amount of activity I'd had the day before. So I just continued to lightly increase and do those things like I talked to you about. And another 6-7 weeks went by and I had another ultrasound. Now they were really pushing for ultrasounds every 4 weeks. I didn't feel like it was necessary. It wasn't changing that quickly. I'm not a fan of a lot of ultrasounds, and so I'm the one who pushed it like, how about 7 weeks? Which, you know, was fine. So after the 7 weeks, I went in again, and this was my most recent ultrasound. And I was so excited to hear that the size of the hemorrhage was in half. It had cut in half. And so obviously some major healing is taking place, and they were very happy with what they saw. So at that point, which was last week, I've really, I still lay down and rest as needed, but I'm pretty much back to mostly my normal activity. I'm gardening and I'm doing dishes and I'm caring for kids, and I'm even picking up my 1-year-old from time to time and carrying him around. So it feels so good. I was able to go out with the family. I mean, it's just like, oh, just a celebration of being able to do things again. So this week, I finally had my appointment with the doctor who is with the same hospital that I went to get the ultrasounds. He delivers only in hospitals, but he has a good relationship with midwives in the area. He actually set up a program so that midwives would have a connection with the hospital, that they could make appointments for their patients to go in and get hospital ultrasounds that would be then available to the whole hospital system if needed. So in my situation, this worked out great because he was able to see all my charts and the ultrasounds that I had gone to this hospital to have done, which is not something I normally do at all. All my other babies have been home births. So he is very supportive of home births, and that my main reason for wanting to go was, one, to make a connection. I scheduled an appointment early on before I found out that it had shrunk so much, because just in case it wasn't shrinking and it would end up a high-risk situation that I would need to go to a hospital, just wanted to have a connection there. And so when I went in and he looked at the updates, he had a big smile and he said, I think you're going to be able to have a successful home birth. I don't think you're going to have any problems. It's showing signs that it's healing beautifully, and what I think is going to happen is you're going to just go into labor and have a baby at home and send me an email saying, look, he's here. So I was really happy to hear that, but I also have that connection open. So he said it's a very rare possibility, but if, you know, like let's say after 36 weeks I suddenly have some concerning signs, maybe a lot of bleeding, then I could go and connect with him and he could take over from there. So it was just a wonderful visit, and I'm so happy with the outcome of that. It was also fun seeing his face when he asked if, you know, is this your first pregnancy? And I said, no, this will be my 11th baby. And he said, well, you're doing a great job, which I thought was so cute. And he said, everything looks really good and you're very healthy, and I'm happy to see. So anyway, it was just a really great, affirming visit. Plus, I got to go out with Jason early in the morning, so that was fun too. And we came back, the weather is hot. It feels like summer here again. But it's just, it's such a blessing that a questionable situation has turned into a positive situation. So thank you all for your prayers. I'm just so grateful for you. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about, two things. I wanted to share with you, a lot of people have asked how we pay for our births or other things. We have been a part of Samaritan Ministries for, now let me think about this, probably 15 years. I think I was pregnant with Silas when we first joined, so that would be 15 years ago. And they have been a huge blessing. And actually one of you, who is a Samaritan Ministries member yourself, encouraged me to share about them with all of you, because it's a resource that you might not know about. So it's a Christian organization that it's a really neat concept that when you join, you become a member, you pay monthly, depending on your household. And instead of sending money to like an insurance company or having that deducted from your paycheck or however it goes, you are given each month the name and address of a person, and you're told a little summary of what they're going through and why they need the money that month. And then you actually write a check or use PayPal and send it directly to that person. And on the other end of things, so for example, in my situation, when I have, you know, my fees for my midwives or the ultrasound fees or whatever it may be, I start a need saying, okay, I'm pregnant and these, you know, are the bills that are coming in, and as I get charged for things, I send it to them. And then each month they send me a checklist of, okay, these are the bills that you submitted that you need covered, and these are the people who are going to be helping to cover that. And so they'll send me a checklist of names. They divide it all up. I don't know how they make this happen. It seems miraculous, but they take all of the needs that month that people have, and they divide them up between all of the households. Now your monthly amount will not change. Whatever you are paying monthly to be a member will always be the same, unless there was a month where there's just more money coming in than is needed. Then they'll reduce your amount that you need to pay that month. But otherwise it always stays the same. And so they figure all this out, and let's say, you know, I have X amount of dollars that I need that month to pay for, to reimburse the providers for the care I've received. Then they'll have, you know, maybe 5 people that I'll be getting the monthly checks from, and those 5 people will send it to me, and then I will have that money to either pay the provider or reimburse myself if I've already paid them. So we have been doing this, like I said, for 15 years. We have had a child with allergy testing. We have had several hospital visits. We've had a broken bone. We had emergency eye surgery with an injury years ago. And we've had a lot of babies. And all of this has been covered by Samaritan Ministries. So if you're interested, like this sweet follower of our channel encouraged me to share, I do have a link, and you know, I just haven't really talked about it much over the past 15 years, but apparently we get like a credit to our amounts that we owe for each person who signs up. So if you would sign up through our link, then we would be really blessed by that. If it's something that seems like it will be a benefit to your family. When we first started, my husband had a job that it was with a union, and it did provide great insurance. However, you know, we were having home births at the time, and they weren't covering the home births. And also they had a big deductible that you'd have to meet. And because we weren't in a hospital setting a lot, it just, you know, mathematically, it came out to us to be much more in our favor if we went with Samaritan. So that's why we first started. And, you know, it's been 15 years. So anyway, I will put the link below so that you can click on it and learn more information. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you is, what was the last thing I wanted to share with them?
You have to leave that in.
Hold on. Oh, I remember. Oh my goodness. We had a sweet friend that we've met through this channel send us a package recently to our P.O. box. And so I wanted to share again that we do not have the P.O. box anymore. The problem is that if you go back on hundreds and hundreds of videos, in the description box, it says the P.O. box, because I would have to go and manually go through every one of those videos and take that out. So we don't have it anymore. The prices to have a P.O. box for the year just kept going up and up and up, and we don't get that many packages, so I finally was like, we can't do this. So we canceled our P.O. box. So for those of you who have been sending me messages saying we'd love to send a little something for the baby, I put together an Amazon list like I've done before, and it gets sent to our house. Anything purchased gets sent to our house. So I will share that link, and yeah. Don't send it to our P.O. box, because we won't get it. It got sent back to her, and she was so sweet. She messaged me, and I gave her my home address, and she sent it again. I'm like, that's love right there, when you'll send a box to somebody twice. And it was really cool. She actually sent us this kit for making toothbrush rugs. Have you ever heard of this? I'll show you what they look like, because she sent us one that was already finished and a bunch of other sweet things. So super sweet box. But anyway, that's all I've got for you today, and we'll be checking in soon. Bye.